Predicting the unpredictable. Now, that sounds like an absolute oxymoron, right? But really, think about it for a second. How can businesses possibly know exactly who they need, what specific skills are required, and precisely when they're going to need them, long before the actual need even arises? Well, welcome to today's Explainer, where we are going to dive into the exact formula that answers that very question. We're pulling all of our insights today directly from Session 9, and we are focusing heavily on workforce planning metrics. This isn't about trial and error, folks. We're looking at how the absolute most forward-thinking organizations are building a highly structured, predictable machine out of their human resources.
Okay, let's jump right into Part 1, the workforce planning framework. We are moving from guesswork to an exact science.
Now take a look at this. This is our master quote straight from the Session 9 source material. Capacity modeled, AI forecasts demand. Workforce planning measured precisely. On the surface, sure, it's just one single highly concentrated sentence, but beneath those few words, that is literally the ultimate roadmap. Over the rest of this explainer, we're going to deconstruct this piece by piece. It's essentially a three-part engine for operational brilliance.
Which brings us to Part 2, modeling team capacity. Think of this as the supply side of our equation. So what do we actually mean by capacity here? Well, in this framework, it is definitely not just a simple headcount or a list of names on a payroll sheet. We're talking about the absolute maximum amount of work your workforce can handle. We have to establish a firm, realistic baseline of what a team can genuinely produce right here, right now, under current conditions.
And that brings us to this incredibly specific phrasing from our source text. Capacity modeled. Notice, it doesn't say capacity counted. It doesn't say capacity estimated. The word modeled is doing some serious heavy lifting here. It means you've mapped out the skills, the bandwidth, the historical output, the whole shebang, into a mathematical model. It is literally a precise architectural blueprint of your supply. Moving right along to Part 3. AI forecasts the demand. This is all about the future of need. Because here's the thing, predicting your future customer and operational needs, that is the absolutely critical counterweight to knowing your current capacity. Without keeping a really close eye on tomorrow's demand, your beautifully modeled capacity is basically flying blind. You have got to know what's coming down the pipeline.
And how exactly do we do that today? Well, the source provides the crucial answer. AI forecasts demand. Artificial intelligence is now the advanced navigation system driving these incredibly complex demand forecasts. We're no longer relying on human intuition or gut feelings or, manually tweaking spreadsheets to guess what the market's going to do. Organizations are feeding massive data sets into AI to predict operational needs with a level of foresight that was, frankly, impossible just a few years ago.
It sets up this really delicate balancing act. On one side of the scale, you've got your rigorously modeled capacity. On the other side, your AI forecasted demand. When these two sides actually communicate, they create perfect operational harmony. You aren't caught understaffed when there's a huge rush, and you definitely are bleeding capital on idle hands during a slow period.
And that flows perfectly into Part 4, measuring with precision, the ultimate result.
Because at the end of the day, the ultimate goal is strict accuracy in tracking your outcomes. Achieving true precision completely removes the emotion and the guesswork from the boardroom. You no longer just think you had a good quarter. You have the strict, undeniably accurate data proving exactly why and how your workforce aligned with your business goals. And here is the real payoff, that final piece of our source text: workforce planning measured precisely. When you successfully model that baseline capacity and you let AI accurately forecast your future demand, the entire equation results in exact, measurable success. It becomes this beautifully closed-loop system where every single decision can be tracked, measured, and refined. Absolutely brilliant. So let's summarize this highly concentrated methodology. It really comes down to 3 actionable steps. Step 1, model your capacity so you know exactly what you have. Step 2, forecast your demand using AI so you know exactly what is coming. And Step 3, measure that resulting workforce planning precisely to ensure perfect alignment. It's an elegant, incredibly powerful progression. Supply to demand to exact measurement. Which leaves us with one vital question to wrap up today's breakdown. I want you to think about your own organization, your own team. Is your workforce planning modeled, AI-driven, and measured precisely? Or are you still just guessing?
Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope this structured look at workforce metrics empowers you to think totally differently about how capacity and demand work together. Catch you next time.